Welcome one and all to my very first Starfield build, The Wanderer. As we are so early in the game's life cycle, I have taken special care not to include any story spoilers within this video, and all the non-specific footage you'll be seeing will be from generic fights on random planets. I've created this character as a starter build, meaning it will see you through the early game with ease, but still allows you to take it in a variety of different directions later on. To kick things off, let's take a look at the background and traits I picked for this character. I went with the soldier background, mostly for the skills. Extra damage with ballistic weapons, more oxygen for sprinting, and boost pack training are all things that should come in handy relatively early in your adventure. As for traits, I chose United Colonies Native, Raised Universal, and Wanted. The first two aren't that important, but both can come into play on New Atlantis, sometimes just making things a little easier for you. I mostly just picked them to try them out, and for some backstory related reasons. Wanted is the one which really matters. It makes you deal bonus damage at low health, but sends bounty hunters out to attack you from time to time. As far as I'm concerned, these are both bonuses. The bounty hunters are basically just experience and loot with the added bonus of them flying to you. This might be the best trait in the game, as I really see no downside here. Plus, it will give you a bunch of extra dialogue choices throughout the entire game. You definitely want to get Wanted. Onto the skills section now, and let's start with physical. Things are pretty light here, as I just went with the initial rank of fitness we get from being an ex-soldier, and left things at that. The extra 10% oxygen is just a nice little bonus to have, letting you sprint longer and jump more. Nothing that drastically changes the character, but a nice quality of life thing for getting around quicker, that's for sure. On to social, where I also only have one skill, but this time multiple ranks. Scavenging yields more items when searching containers. At first this is just more credits, but upgrading the skill can lead to extra ammo and even health items being found. I would definitely recommend at least the first two ranks, and the third one is worth grabbing if you can spare the point. With combat skills, we have our first maxed out one, Ballistics. With this skill at rank 4, you will gain 30% damage and range with all ballistic weapons. These are just solid bonuses to have, which will notably improve your killing power. Ballistic weapons are all over the place in the early game, so this is definitely where you should be leaning in terms of damage perks. In the science tree, I actually have two skills, however neither is critical to the build. Geology will grant you more common and uncommon inorganic resources from surface objects, which is basically a fancy way to say that you'll get more from mining. And surveying gives your scanner a zoom and increases scan distance to 20 meters. Chances are you'll do a decent bit of mining as you play, and you'll certainly do some scanning, so both these perks are handy. Neither completely changes things up, but they're a nice couple that speed things along. Though I wouldn't recommend going higher than the first rank, unless you start getting super into scanning or mining. Finally, we have the tech tree with boost pack training, piloting, and targeting control systems. So boost packs are incredible, let's just get that out of the way. You literally get a jetpack in this game, and the training makes it so much better. Max out this skill and you'll be able to fly around during on-foot combat, easily get the high ground on enemies, and never have to worry about full damage again. As long as you remember to boost before you hit the ground, that is. As for piloting and targeting control systems, these go hand in hand. The first couple of ranks of piloting make you a better pilot. Now that's what I call smart naming. The last two ranks allow you to pilot Class B and C ships. Without the last two ranks, you'll be in the situation of coming across plenty of ships which you literally do not have the skill to pilot, and therefore cannot take. Where this really comes into its own though is with targeting control systems. This skill allows you to select which part of the spaceship you want to fire on during ship combat. Use this to disable enemy ship engines, dock with them, kill the crew, and then use your advanced piloting skills to take their ship as your own. Honestly, one of the most fun things you can do in the entire game. Every time I jump to a new system or planet, I'm just hoping the Crimson Fleet are there so I can take their ships and sell them for a tidy profit. That's it for skills, let's move on to equipment. I had 4 main weapons with this character, and I'm going to go through them in range order from shortest to longest range. First up we have the Coachman, a double barrel shotgun which packs a hell of a punch. Use this as you would a shotgun. Get real up close to the enemy and blast both barrels. This is also the ideal weapon to use once you boost back over the top of someone and land behind them. You'll notice that my version is an epic version, however all the rares, epics and legendaries I've come across are completely random, so I'm not factoring that into the overall build. Use a coachman and look out for any fancy variants of it drop for some added boosts. And if you want to hear me rant about the legendary system versus uniques, trust me, that'll be a future video. Next weapon is my pistol, the Sidestar. Very lightweight and good for clearing out small rooms. Considering this thing has a mass of less than 1, it really doesn't need to be that great a weapon to be a part of your arsenal. One thing you might struggle with early on is ammo, and as such, I'm making sure to use weapons which each have a different ammo type. The Sidestar is here mostly just for the ammo variety. Running low on shotgun or SMG rounds? Well, whip out your pistol instead, it'll get the job done. Speaking of SMGs, we have the Grendel. These were dropping everywhere for me. High fire rate, high mag size, you know this thing eats up 7.77 like nobody's business. Devastating at close range, as every bullet you fire seems to have a small chance to stagger your enemy. This weapon can just tear apart foes in seconds. Until it runs out of ammo. It also isn't good at range. Besides those things though, it's great. Final of the 4, the Maelstrom. This is the rifle you will see everyone in the systems using. It's all over the place, and for good reasons. It is versatile. I made sure to always pick up ones that were semi-auto and had a scope, as that means you can snipe with it by holding your breath and looking down the sight, or you can go ham on the trigger finger and get decent DPS out at closer ranges. This has been my go-to weapon while playing, and it's just a basic variant. Plus, it's the only one I always seem to have plenty of ammo for. Honestly, you could probably leave the other guns at home. As long as you have the Maelstrom, you can win fights. One final note on weapons is that you should carry a cutter with you. It's the mining laser you get at the start of the game, and while you will mostly be using it for mining, it's not half bad in combat if you're in a pinch. Maybe you've run out of ammo, or maybe the enemies are weak enough that you don't want to waste ammo. No problem, the cutter recharges itself so you lose nothing from using it. Do be warned, it does have very short range though, so don't try and use it as your one and only. When it comes to my spacesuit, pack and helmet, honestly, I just went for whatever had the best resistances. You're going to want to prioritise physical resistance, as the vast majority of early enemies are shooting you with bullets. Environmental resistances are nice to have, but I just recommend stocking up on any treatment items you find, as you'll always have to deal with them. And as for bonus effects, they're random, so best of luck is all I can say there. One final note actually, do make sure your pack has a booster on it, otherwise all that boost pack training matters for nothing. For the ship, I stuck with the Frontier and just added on to it. The main focus was getting another area where crew could stay, and some extra cargo storage space, cause you know I like to be looting. With that sorted, the ship then proved a bit too heavy to fly, so I added some extra engines and grav drive. And I painted it red, cause red ones go faster. The Wanderer is a free spirit, and won't want to be tied down to all that many factions. As such, the only faction I fully joined was Constellation. They specifically don't try to restrict you in any way, and are more than happy for you to just head out and travel through the systems. They're explorers after all, going for a wander through space is practically the job description. Constellation do have a mission board in the basement where you can pick up additional jobs, but when it comes to smaller tasks, you can feel free to help out anyone you come across. Just because you don't want to be tied down, doesn't mean you can't help out. There's plenty of people out there looking for some assistance with their research, help fighting off spacers, or hoping to acquire a series of top quality books. Feel free to help them all out. When it comes to followers, I'd recommend giving everyone at Constellation a trial period, and then seeing just who fits best with you. Travel around with each of them, do a quest or two, and then make your mind up. Personally, I ended up mostly travelling with Barrett because of his chill attitude and tendency to make jokes while adventuring. Keep in mind that you can always switch out to a different follower, and the ones who aren't with you can crew your ship or look after any outposts you've built. The Wanderer is a fairly straightforward starter build. It's all about getting out there, seeing the sights, and surviving whilst doing so. For both ground and space combat, you want to use your added manoeuvrability to try and give you the edge, getting behind enemies or up above them before attacking. And don't be afraid to run away from a fight. If you're outnumbered or outclassed, that boost pack or those piloting skills are good defensive tools too. Switch regularly between your weapons so you don't run dry on ammo, and things should go alright. In terms of role-playing, just explore. I wanted my first character to be focused on exploring the unseen. As for all of us playing, that's what we're doing right now. I'm uploading this video before the game even has its main official launch, so we really are all just stepping into the unknown. And that's something you should embrace when playing this character. If you're looking for more role-playing ideas, maybe the backstory will help. The Wanderer was born and raised in New Atlantis. They spent their childhood in boredom, despite the many wonders of the city. For them, all that really mattered was the new. They never went off-world, never got to leave the city, never had anywhere new to explore. This wanderlust remained through to adulthood, and led to the Wanderer seeking out a job that would let them travel to all corners of the universe. Sadly, options were limited. They had no spaceship to call their own, no vast wealth to buy their way to the stars, and no experience which employers were after. And so they went with the only option open to them, the army. Becoming a soldier seemed like the perfect solution. Get paid to explore new places and meet new people, even if you sometimes have to kill the people you meet. In theory, it sounded great, but the Wanderer soon learned that reality rarely meets with your imagination. It started well enough, with flights in spaceships through the stars, getting to see the galaxy whiz by as the recruits were shuttled around. But the shimmer quickly vanished when the orders came in that the Wanderer's unit were to secure an abandoned facility on an out-of-the-way planet. The enemy that they faced was a great one, not Crimson Fleet, nor the native fauna. It was boredom. For months and months, the unit was merely told to hold position. Occasionally Ruperts would stop by and check in with the CO, but for the rank and file, nothing. They were just left to watch rocks, and that didn't sit well with the Wanderer. They were left back where they started, looking up at the stars and wondering what was out there. Once the desire grew too great, they made up their mind. There were cargo ships that came to resupply the unit from time to time, and the Wanderer knew the routine well. It was easy enough to slip aboard and then leave at the next port. They were finally free of the monotony, but this freedom came with a price. Apparently the outpost they had escaped from had come under attack soon after they left. Members of the Crimson Fleet had found a secret way in and butchered half the unit before they were stopped. The Wanderer was the only person not accounted for, and the commander decided that it must have been an inside job. They were now marked as an enemy, with a bounty on their head. With options once again being limited, they were left searching for a job which would let them explore the universe, but which also wouldn't care about a person's past. For once, luck was in their favour, and they came across a small mining company looking for new recruits, or dusties as they called them. The work would be hard, the hours long, and the pay little. But the Wanderer didn't care. They would finally have the chance to explore the universe, and that's all they ever wanted. And there we have it, my very first Starfield build. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like, and subscribe if you want to watch more in the future. I'm going to be making plenty of Starfield content over the following months, and likely years. Builds, guides, and challenge runs all to come. A big thank you to all of my patrons who help keep the channel running, and as always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.